Hello everyone, welcome to Barca News. It is October 24th, 2024 and Lamine Yamal has declared that he wants to stay in Barcelona for the rest of his career. Also, we're going to be covering Jules Kounde's pre-match press conference ahead of El Clasico match tomorrow. And finally, Marc Casado has earned the praise of his former coach, Rafa Marquez. We have a lot to discuss, so let's begin. Hello everyone, welcome to the channel. My name is Mo, and before we begin with the news, just a quick reminder to make sure to hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and drop a comment. All of this helps this channel continue to grow. Also, if you are looking for any Barcelona jerseys or merchandise, make sure to hit the goal kits, kit bag, or fanatics. And if you are looking to place any sports bets, make sure to hit the bet us. All links are down below in the description. Now I begin this video with the news that Lamine Yamal just gave an interview where he declared that he wants to stay in Barcelona for the rest of his career, and this is what the Barcelona starlet had to say. I would like to be remembered in Barca's history as a legend. Thanks to Barcelona, I am who I am. They've given me everything. My goal is to be at Barca my whole life. So Lamine Yamal making it very clear he wants to spend his whole career in Barcelona. He wants to become a Barcelona legend. And well, to that I say, yes, Lamine, please stay in Barcelona for your whole career. Because if you're doing what you're doing right now at 17, I can only imagine what you're going to be doing in your prime, which is going to be absolute insanity. So yes, please stay at Barcelona for as long as possible, hopefully for the rest of your career. Now, of course, as we know, Barcelona, or Laporta and Deco, met with Jorge Mendes for dinner, and it's reported that one of the main topics was the contract renewal of Lamine, which expires in 2026. But we do know that he has a verbal agreement with the club that as soon as he turns 18, he will renew until 2030, and hopefully he'll continue renewing for the rest of his footballing career. And now Lamine Yamal was asked how is he gonna face the pressure from the fans at the Santiago Bernabeu during the Clasico match. And well, this is what the Barcelona starlet had to say. This year, when I receive the ball, I feel the crowd starting to shout, and it really motivates me. I've spoken like a true champion, like a true winner, where, guess what? Not only does he not let the fans chanting or screaming at him faze him, but in fact, he uses it as fuel and it motivates him. So it does the total opposite of what the fans are trying to achieve when they shout at him, which again, that is the sign of greatness. That is a sign of the greats, because that's exactly what the greats do. They use all that hate, they use that all that negativity, and not only do they not allow it to affect them, but they turn it into fuel, and it allows them to get motivated even more. And finally, Lamine Yamal was asked about what does he do, or how does he face the challenges of facing up against fullbacks. And well, this is what Lamine had to say. I usually look at the fullback and go at him with everything. It's a feeling I've never had before. It's as if my mother were in front of me telling me to go at the opponent. It's a sensation I can't describe, but it's incredible. And yes, it's also incredible for us to watch you do that, because we cannot forget what Lamine Yamal did to Alphonso Davies, the best left back in the world in his prime. And here we go, Lamine, 17 years old, just a child, completely embarrassing him, destroying Davies, making him look like an amateur. So yes, I believe everything Lamine has to say, because, well, he's demonstrated it time and time again. Now, speaking of interviews, let's move on to Jules Kounde's pre-match press conference, because Kounde, just like Flake, also talked at the press conference ahead of tomorrow's El Clasico match. And one thing he was asked was about the challenge of facing off against Vinicius Jr. And well, this is what the Frenchman had to say. He is definitely a top candidate for the Ballon d'Or and one of the best players. But for me, this is a challenge. This is also why I play football. I love playing against the best, and Saturday's game is no exception. He is probably the biggest threat, but they have other players. It's a team full of talent. Players who can decide games almost single-handedly. Vinicius is not a player you can stop on your own. especially for 90 minutes. He doesn't stop, and there will definitely be moments when I need help. So Kounde talking like a real champion, like a real winner, where he says he is motivated to play against Vinicius because after all, that's what football is all about, is testing your skills against the best. And while Kounde is not shying away from the challenge, but at the same time admitting that, well, Vinicius will require some help. So Kounde, on one hand, being excited and ready for the challenge, but on the other hand, being humble and realizing that I might need some help sometime. And that's okay, because after all, we all need to admit when we need help, because after all, it takes a village. And while football is a team sport, and that's how it should be. Now, Kounde was asked about the difference between Xavi Hernandez and Hansi Flick. By the way, I'm getting tired of this question of the press always asking the players what the difference is. But anyways, this is what Kounde had to say. The team still maintains Barcelona's traditional high defensive line, but with an added sense of urgency and higher pressing. There are some similar concepts, like playing with a high defensive line. This season we play a little higher, but Barcelona have always played with a high defensive line. So Kounde saying that, well, it's pretty similar, Flick to Xavi. They still play with high defensive line, but under Flick, the line is even higher and there's more sense of urgency. There's higher pressing. I think I have to agree with that. I think one thing that was wrong with Xavi's tactics was he looked like he was always scared of getting scored on. So he didn't fully commit to the high defensive line, and as such, the team didn't execute it to perfection, because when you're not fully invested in a system, you're not going to be able to execute it to perfection. And well, if you're going to use the high line, you cannot be afraid of getting scored on, because you most likely will get scored on, because that's the whole drawback to this strategy. But like Cruyff always said, if they score 4, we score 5. You cannot be afraid of being scored on. All you have to worry about is outscoring your opponent. Now, Kounde was also asked about Hansi Flick's philosophy, and this is what the Frenchman had to say. The coach has a clear philosophy. It doesn't matter who we play against. We will always play the same way. He knows what he wants, and I think the team understands that very well. Playing this type of football requires you to be at your best, because it requires a lot of effort. But the team understands that this effort brings rewards, especially from the forward players who do a great job of pressing. So Kounde making it clear that Hansi Flick knows what his philosophy is, knows how to teach it to the players, and knows how to stick to it. And after all, that's what you're supposed to do. You stick to your philosophy. That's how you perfect it, by doing it over and over again until you can do it as a muscle memory. You don't change your philosophy based on an opponent. You make your opponent adapt to you, like Johan Cruyff always said. And time again, Flick continues to show us that he truly is a Barcelona DNA coach. Now, finally, Kounde was asked about Real Madrid's current form, and this is what the Frenchman had to say. I think that's Real Madrid's biggest advantage in recent seasons. Sometimes they play well and sometimes not, but they always find a way to win. We expect that, and we know it will be a difficult match. When you have chances, especially against Madrid, you have to take them, because they always find a way to decide the game. They also have talented players who can decide the game almost by themselves. So we have to give our best to win. And I think this is a very accurate description of Madrid, where he says sometimes they play good, sometimes they play bad. I think they've been just playing bad in the recent seasons, but nonetheless, they always find a way to win. And that is why Barcelona are going to have to be clinical. They're going to have to take advantage of all their chances, because if you don't take advantage of your chances against Madrid, well, you do get punished. Now, the last thing we're going to cover in this video is Marc Casado and how he has earned praise from his former coach, Rafa Marquez, who responded through Twitter to an interview that Casado had done. Now, the Twitter post, the original post, contained this quote from Marc Casado, who said, "If I am where I am today, it's largely thanks to Rafa Marquez. He gave me confidence at all times and made me a better person and a better player, especially by making me see the importance of working off the field. I will be eternally grateful to him." And to that post, Rafa Marquez tweeted back the following, saying, "Now as a coach, one of the things you value the most is gratitude and helping the player to evolve. Casado is a clear example of a professional player from head to toe. Bravo. Happy with his performance." So Casado, of course, giving praise to Rafa Marquez and his role in shaping him. And of course, we all know how important Casado was to Rafa Marquez, and Rafa Marquez responded by talking about how professional Casado is and how great his form is. And well, I have to agree 100%. I think Casado has been one of the best players on the squad. Match after match, he's been absolutely spectacular. The biggest revelation of the season. And I'm really glad that Rafa Marquez was there to help form Casado, and that Flick was there to give him his debut. Anyways, that is all the news for this video. I did post another video before this one, and I did the podcast as well. If you haven't seen it too, make sure you watch it. Don't forget to hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, drop a comment, and as always, Visca Barça.